Near future, New York. Rachel and Elfie have everything in life except the baby Rachel dreams about every night. A modern house, artificial intelligence, and even 3D printed toasts. All of this has become a reality that no one is surprised by. The AI provides a complete health report that recommends supplements and nutritional menus for optimal performance of the entire body. Rachel starts another morning this way, says goodbye to her husband and heads to work. Elfie, a botanist and advocate of natural living, stays home and checks on his organic greenhouse, hoping to preserve at least something real. The only place Elfie's happiness meter rises is in his small garden with plants and real soil, which has become very rare in the modern world. Elfie enjoys sifting the loose soil through his fingers, dreaming that plants will one day return to the world. Rachel gives her colleagues a presentation about Elena, the interactive assistants that will soon be installed in every home, providing comfort to their owners. But not for long. The company is already working on creating new software that will manage employees' client portfolios and perform all the main functions of managers within 2 months. Rachel's achievements do not go unnoticed. Her boss invites her to his office and offers her a promotion. The only condition is to use the capsule womb so that she does not go on maternity leave. The company is willing to pay for the service of creating an artificial child in the Pegasus Center. Rachel spends the whole day thinking about her boss's offer, and a call from the clinic leaves her with no doubts. She learns that the capsule is finally available in the womb, and she can use it to become a mother in the near future. To carefully think over everything, Rachel goes to the beach, or rather, to its interactive version, created for relaxation and meditation. At the same time, Elfie gives a lecture to students who look at real trees with horror and amazement. When the professor offers them to try a real fig cut from a branch, the teenagers look around in fear, thinking that the botanist has lost his mind. Only one student dares to experiment. He tries the natural fig with the attitude of a person performing a heroic deed. Rachel confesses to her friend that her husband does not know about her plans to create an artificial child. He always wanted the process to go naturally, and she would have to somehow convince Elfie to use the capsule so that she would not have to interrupt her career. Rachel discusses the same with her interactive psychoanalyst, and finally decides to tell Elfie everything only after signing the contract with the clinic. The clinic's policy is that all women have the right to motherhood without depriving themselves of the usual pleasures. Pregnancy with the capsule allows them to continue working, playing sports, and enjoying other activities while ensuring the full development of the fetus and constant monitoring. Rachel attends a lecture by the founder of Pegasus and gets acquainted with the center. She is shown a model capsule where the baby is already developing, and the center's director, Linda Fusick, explains all the features available during pregnancy. For example, an application that allows playing music, movies, and podcasts in different languages for the child, or a variety of flavors so that the child does not become picky in the future. The program offers them different foods, eliminating the problem of grumbling. After the tour, Rachel makes a deposit to reserve the capsule to carry her child. Elfie receives a bank notice about a large expense, and Rachel has to gather the courage to tell her husband about her plans. Elfie is sad that his wife made this decision without consulting him, but he tries to avoid serious conflicts and agrees to visit Alice and Ben, friends who have already used the capsule services several times and are currently expecting another child. The conversation with experienced friends leads nowhere. Elfie still finds the idea ridiculous. He cannot understand how one can store a child in a plastic egg. After listening to the arguments of his wife, who dreams of building her career and maintaining the beauty of her body, Elfie agrees to talk to her interactive psychoanalyst, but this also seems incredibly stupid to him, and he runs out of the office, unable to bear the conversations with a giant artificial eye on the pink wall. Elfie makes several more attempts to dissuade his wife, but finally gives in. At night, he tells Rachel that he agrees to the capsule baby if it will make their marriage happier. In the morning, the couple returns to the womb center, and Linda offers them the opportunity to choose the sex of their future child. With this, the young couple unites. They let nature decide such an important question, and they sign the contract. A large screen appears in front of the patients, showing the entire pregnancy process. Before the eyes of the future parents, a race takes place, and finally, they are informed that their embryo is ready. Now they have the opportunity to welcome it, although the young couple feels very strange when looking at the small bottle. They share the happy news with Rachel's parents. The future grandfather is incredibly happy, but believes that Elfie should grow up, find a real job, give up the plants, and sell the country house. But Elfie disagrees. He is convinced that a house on the coast is the only chance to stay in touch with nature and a living thing. Over the next few days, Rachel monitors the development of the embryo through the app, while Elfie continues his work in the greenhouse. Everything seems very abnormal to Elfie, and he is greatly surprised when his wife refuses intimacy because of the pregnancy. Elfie's negative attitude bothers Rachel a little, but she hopes that everything will change when they can hear the baby's heartbeat. Meanwhile, she visits the capsule at the medical center alone and watches the other clients' babies come into the world. Out of anticipation and excitement, Rachel begins to dream of motherhood again. She tries to discuss this with the psychoanalyst, but the digital eye reminds her that dreams are an outdated diagnostic method and should not be taken seriously in the modern world. Finally, the couple hears the heartbeat inside the capsule, and this becomes a turning point. They are also allowed to look at the baby through a special viewing window and are informed that soon they will be able to take the egg home for her period. Preparations for the new addition are in full swing. Rachel creates a nursery decorated in the latest fashions. Elfie also tries to contribute. He brings a real olive tree, but Rachel rejects the idea and considers it inappropriate. This leads to another argument between the couple. Rachel asks her husband to listen to her father and sell the country house. But in this case, Elfie decides to stand his ground and raise the child in a real natural environment. Rachel notices a pregnant girl in the pool and asks permission to touch her belly. It seems to her like magic, but the expectant mother, on the contrary, envies Rachel. She admits that the center's service was beyond her means and dreams that her next child will be born there. Returning home, Elfie notices the capsule that Rachel brought from the center. At first, it scares him a little, but over time, he begins to get used to the fact that they are no longer alone in the house. The presence of the egg in the house becomes a real test for the couple. Elfie fears that they will not cope with the child, and the couple has their first argument about who should take care of the capsule and follow the feeding schedule. Rachel decides to prepare well. She goes with her husband on a tour of the school where their future child will attend. The lecture is led by Linda Wojcik, who shows the guests unique methods. No dirty hands, no dripping paint, no ugly drawings. The AI does everything for the children, leaving them to just observe the process and provide feedback. Among the guests are the parents of a child who has already been born from a capsule. They admit that their child doesn't dream, but Linda doesn't see this as a problem. It's a minor side effect that doesn't affect human development. While Rachel continues to go to work, Elfie stays home with the egg. He's responsible for feeding it, monitoring its growth schedule, and playing whale sounds to diversify the child's experience. Elfie enjoys watching the child through the viewing window, glad that he agreed to this experiment after all. To spend more time with the child, Elfie buys a capsule holder, a kind of equivalent of a rope. Now he's inseparable from the egg, reading to it endlessly, doing all the housework, and even taking it to the greenhouse. He even starts visiting playgrounds so that the child can socialize even before it's born. The botanist also lectures to students with the capsule, hoping to instill in them and his future child a love of nature and all living things. However, Elfie's initiative does not impress his superiors. He discovers that holograms will soon enter his garden and that real trees will soon be destroyed due to the unreasonable costs required to maintain the greenhouse. Elfie's over-emotionality begins to annoy Rachel, and she suggests returning the capsule to the center until the baby is born. She worries that the egg will be damaged from constant outings and finds it strange that Elfie constantly carries the capsule with him. At night, Rachel continues to have strange dreams in which she sees herself as truly pregnant. She tries to spend more time with the capsule and does not understand why she does not develop the same attachment that Elfie has. Rachel asks her husband to visit a psychoanalyst with her. She shares her concerns with the eye, and the AI gives her the same advice, to spend as much time with the baby as possible. Rachel tries to follow the recommendations and wears the egg, simulating a pregnant belly. But in the modern world, this seems inappropriate. At work, Rachel is told not to do this again and to leave her capsule in a special storage area to avoid disturbing others. Rachel stays late at the office, rushing to a parenting seminar, wearing the egg like a regular backpack. After the meeting, the parents have to say goodbye to the baby. The agreement requires the egg to spend the rest of the semester at the medical center. The separation from the baby sends Elfie into a depression. Even Rachel changes dramatically. She awakens maternal instincts she never felt before. She even brings an olive tree back to the nursery to create clean air for the baby. Despite the artificial pregnancy, Rachel's productivity drops and her bosses notice. But this doesn't bother Rachel. The birth is about to happen, and she spends her free time at the clinic watching the egg. Elfie asks Linda for permission to take the capsule home at this time, but she refuses. The manager reminds him that the capsule is the property of the company and is too valuable to risk. But not everything is bad. Linda gives the couple a dream capsule, a device that will help the child dream, depending on the specific content. Despite the ban, Elfie returns to the center and steals the egg with their child inside. At home, Rachel carefully surrounds the capsule, but the tension triggers a new wave of dreams in which she chooses a child in a store. Unable to bear it any longer, she wakes her husband and asks him to pack his things. Rachel asks him to go to their country house so that they can welcome their child in peace there, far from the strange modern world. Elfie tries to solve the problem peacefully. He asks Linda to hire a nurse to help them through the birth process, but all efforts are in vain. Linda orders the capsule to be returned to the clinic immediately. The couple flees the city, but this does not discourage them. They travel dozens of kilometers by bus, sail on a ferry, and finally arrive in a secluded place, completely different from their city apartment. The union with nature finally brings peace and relieves Rachel's constant worries. Now they just have to wait for the important moment, the birth of their child. Elfie offers his wife a tour of the forest. He tells her about trees and lichen, shows her a stunning sunset, and together they plant an olive tree that was piled in a small pot. In the evening, the future parents open the viewing window and watch how quickly their child grows, but the idyll quickly ends. At some point, Rachel notices that the capsule no longer shows signs of life. The couple realizes that the clinic has remotely cut off the egg's power due to their breach of contract. Rachel begins to panic and asks her husband to take her back to the city immediately to fix everything, but Elfie has another plan. He suggests waiting. The capsule's autonomy lasts for 48 hours. Their child is due to be born during this time, and they should not give in to the clinic's blackmail. Turns out that Elfie is right. Early in the morning, a haunting melody comes from the capsule, signaling the start of the process. To open the egg, they need to enter a special code, but they do not have it. Elfie tries several random combinations, but they all fail, and he realizes that they will have to take a different approach. Using a screwdriver, the happy father opens the capsule, revealing a tiny body inside. Elfie lifts the baby up, wraps him in a towel, and rejoices that the dangers are finally behind them. While her husband and newborn sleep, Rachel packs the capsule parts into a box and rides a bike to the nearest town. She sends the package to town and upon returning home, quietly slips under the blanket. With that, she makes the most important decision of her life, to stay and raise their capsule child in the real world, far from civilization. And here the film ends. Thanks for watching.